Hello everybody, it's Wendy, and today I am here for Victory Gems and Beads. They are a company based out of New York who has an online presence at this website address right here. And they sell beautiful hand-cut gemstones. These gemstones are from India. They are hand-cut, and this family has been in the gem business for generations. So they're very experienced with what they do. So you can check them out, victorygemsandbeads.com. I do have a coupon code. It is a bead on a wire 10. That will give you 10% off of your order, and orders over $250 ship for free. So we're going to make a necklace today using some of the beautiful gemstones that they sent. We have these faceted tiger's eye cubes, and they like to put things on their website about the stones, and I think this is really interesting. So I'm going to tell you what they've said. They've said tiger's eye, also called tiger eye, is a chatoyant gemstone that is usually a metamorphic rock with a golden to red-brown color and a silky luster. As members of the quartz group, tiger's eye and the related blue-colored mineral hawk's eye gain their silky, lustrous appearance from the parallel intergrowth of quartz crystals and altered amphibole, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, fibers that have mostly turned into limonite. So that's very interesting, I think, to know about the gemstones. So here they are. They're absolutely stunning. And then we have some moonstone. And moonstone, I'm not going to read you the whole thing about moonstone, but moonstone is known as the traveler's stone because it's supposed to have some properties that help you travel, especially at night by the moon. So that's interesting, right? And there it is. And these come in shades of gray and peach and white. They're just absolutely beautiful. So we're going to be using them. And then on their site as well, and in the box they sent me, they sent these electroplated little rondelles. So we have them in silver, in rose gold, in gold, and in bronze. And I love to use mixed metals, so that's what we're going to use all of these today. I have some of these black spinel beads as well, and we may mix some of them in. This is a design with me kind of challenge, so I have an idea in my head and I'm going to play it out right here in front of you, so you'll see how I go through this designing process. But we may use these, we may not, it depends. And then I have some these are just some wavy rondelle spacers from my own stash that I may use. I have 2x2 crimp tubes in a gold, and you'll need several. I have these little clamshell connectors, and this is what we will cover the crimp tube with, which will make it look like a little bead, and it will also connect to our, we're going to do multi-strands, so that's what we'll use those for. I have some 3mm jump rings here in a gold. And then I have a couple of connectors from my own stash. I just thought these were so pretty with these beads. They looked really nice with these beads. They're a porcelain flower, and they have 4 connections here on the back. So I'll show you how we're going to use those. You can use any type connector you have. You can use a chandelier finding. You could also just use a ring, okay? So if you wanted to just hook your wire using these little clamshells and a jump ring, or you could use a wire guardian and string it, but you could use just plain rings if you don't have a chandelier or a multi-strand type connector that you'd like to use. And then I have a toggle clasp. This is from my own stash. It's just a little plain little toggle. You can use any toggle or any clasp at all that you have. And then I have some lengths of stringing wire. This is 19 strand. It is in a satin gold. And I have cut 1, 2, 3, 4 lengths of it at around, let me see how long I cut this. Right around, let's see, about 9 inches. And then I have a longer length that we will cut in half to use for the rest of the necklace up the sides, and this one is about 14 inches. It's just totally approximate. You can make them however long you want them or not. I just wanted to have enough, so I wanted to cut a little extra in case. Okay, and then you're going to need your jewelry pliers. You will need some crimping pliers. And I'm going to be using some of these little bead stoppers, these bead bugs on my strands, because I'm notorious for my beads falling off, and I don't want that to happen while we're beading. So we're going to use some of these. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is bead up our strands of our different metals here. Okay, so I'm going to separate these out. And I'm going to put a bead bug on the end of each one of my shorter strands, not the big long one, but these 4 shorter ones. Okay. So just like this, and all that does, again, is keep your beads from falling off. You could go ahead and finish the end of your chain, but or your stringing wire, but I kind of like to go ahead and just leave it open in case there's something that I want to change. So I'm going to use these little black spinel intertwined with these others. So I'm going to pick up 3 of these. And then I'm going to use this whole strand here of the bronze micro beads. These are so pretty. And I'm just going to do probably 4, maybe 5 here. There we go. Put a couple of the black spinel beads. And then another length of 4 or 5 of these beads. And I'm not going to have any, I don't want there to be a pattern in it. I want it to be kind of random. So I'm doing 3 and then 1 more black bead. And then I'll pick up maybe 4. And like I said, I really want it to be random. I'm going to do 2 of the little black beads. And then another, probably no less than 3 of these in a row. I don't want it to be, I want it to be mostly the bronze and not mostly the black. So I'm just mixing the black in just a little bit. So I'll do 3 of these. And I'm just going to continue stringing this whole strand until I get all of these antique bronze beads strung on. Let's do 4. We'll do 2 of the spinel. 2, 3, 1 spinel. And you can, this is totally up to your own creative control. You do it however you like. Here we go. And I'm just going to do several this time, probably 5 here. Yeah, we'll do 5 there, 2 of these. And I'm just going to string this, keep on stringing this, doing pretty much 3, 4, or 5 of the bronze beads with 1 or 2 of the spinel beads mixed in. And I'm going to do this with the bronze, the rose gold, the silver, and the gold. I'm going to do the same exact thing. I am not going to do the same exact pattern. So after I do these bronze ones, I'm going to string on the gold ones next probably, and I will not make them exactly the same as these. So I want to make sure that the black, when I do the gold strand, is mixed in differently than it is with this bronze strand, okay? So go ahead and string up your bronze strand, put a bead bug on the end when you're done, and then come right on back and I'll show you what I mean with the next one. Okay, another thing to note is you can string pretty much up to the very end of your wire, because the connections that we're going to be putting on to finish these wires will not require us to fold the wire over. Okay, so I've got 4 spinel beads here, 4 of the bronze. I'm going to take 1 off, and I'm actually going to do 1 spinel bead. And I just want to add a few more beads on here. I want to make sure that I fill my wire up pretty much the whole way. So I'm going to add 3 more of the bronze beads on, and then I'm going to do 3 of the little spinel beads to match the other end where I started with 3. Okay, so as you can see, I've used most of my wire, and that's what you want to do. And then you want to put a bead bug on, just like that. Now I'm going to start my next wire. I am going to do the 3 black spinel beads on the beginning like I did on the last one, and I will do that on the end too. But as I go through with my gold here, I am going to bead this one differently. So I'm going to do 3 and then 1 and then probably 4 or 5, maybe 5 here. Well, or 4 because 5 wouldn't go on. And then we'll do 2, and then I'll do maybe another 3 and 2. I'm just keeping it very random. I just don't want it to be a repeating pattern at all, okay? I'm going to do 5, 3, 4, and 5. And as you look, when I lay this one next to this one, as you can see, they're different. The blacks are in different spots, and that's how I want it to be. And I'm going to do that. Let me show you a little closer. Sorry. I'm going to do that with all of these strands. So as you can see here, side by side, the black beads are not in the same place except for at the very beginning, okay? And that's what we want. So bead up all of your strands. Do your bronze, your gold, your rose gold, and your silver, and come on back. Okay, so I have all of my strands strung up here pretty much, and I'm going to go ahead and finish the ends of all of them. And to do that, I'm going to very gently remove the bead bug off one end of one of them. I'm going to take the crimp tube and just insert it right on the very end here. You don't want it to go down very far because you don't want wire sticking out. We can trim it off, of course, and I'm just going to crimp this, okay? And I know we're just crimping a single wire, but the only thing this crimp tube is really doing is holding our little clamshell cover on, okay? And then I'm going to take the clamshell and I'm just going to put it right over the crimp tube that I've crimped down, and I'm going to close it up here. And you may be able to do this with your fingers. Looks like I'm going to have to use the plier. So let me just set it in here. These crimp pliers are really good for lots of different things, including this kind of closing up these little tiny things. And you just want to make sure that it's closed up evenly and all the way, okay? So just, you may have to move it around a little. Sometimes they don't close up perfectly and you just have to kind of play with them a little bit. Gently, be gentle with it because you don't want it to. And then when you get it done, just give it a tug and see that it's nice and secure. So we'll go to our other side now, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the crimp tube. This time I'm going to slide it down to my beads, and I'm laying it in the little divot in the back of my crimping plier. Now, you don't want to push this to where it is stick straight. You want this to hang. Just let gravity hold it as you're doing this, okay? Don't push it. You don't want wire exposed, but yet you don't want these to be poker straight either. You want them to have a little bit of movement and a little flexibility. So go ahead and trim your wire off and take your little clamshell cover. Now these clamshell covers open to the side and then close it right up over top of your crimp. Some of these clamshell covers you can get open from the bottom, and that's a different type of crimping. If you've got that, you would have to stick it up through the hole in the bottom, but these open from the side. And there you have two really neat little endings on your wire. So go ahead and do the same thing with all of your wires. Make sure they're the same length, okay? So like on this one, when I take the bead bug off, and be very careful not to lose your beads because that surely can happen. So this one, I'm going to put it on, I'm going to scoot it up to the end as close as I can get it here. I'm going to lay the crimp tube in the back divot of my pliers, just like that. And I'm going to crimp it down, and then I'm going to turn it vertically and go ahead and close the crimp, just like that. Now I'm going to scoot, let me go ahead and put I forgot the clamshell. Let's put it on. Okay, whoops. So I'm just grabbing it in the crimping pliers, and you do want to make sure you have it the right side up, which I did not. Just putting it right on here, and sometimes it is easier just to do it with your fingers. I can't always get them to close, and I have to use the pliers to help close them, but they are kind of fiddly, so if you can hold it here and just kind of lay it in and close it up as much as you can with your fingers. This one's not going to. So let's go back to the crimping pliers. Make sure that it's the right side up in here, and if you can get it in these little divots in the back of the crimping plier, it will hold it for you. This one is being very difficult on me because I'm on camera. That's how it works. Okay, there we go. So you just hold it, set it in there, and close it up. Okay, and then just make sure that your crimp is in there all the way, and the little wires coming out the bottom. Make sure it's closed up very well. Okay, now I'm going to pull this one off the other end and be very careful. And I want to make sure that these match, okay? And they do. And so I'm going to go ahead and crimp the other end. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with my others, okay? So do that and come right on back. Okay, so we have all of our little strands, and they are pretty much the same length. And we're going to take our connector, whatever you're using, and your jump rings, and we're going to connect each strand to the connector with the jump ring. Now, be aware that my connector here has 3 loops that I can use. The 4th one is going to have to be used to connect to the next link up in my necklace, whatever I'm doing. So I'm going to connect the gold one. Obviously, I didn't open my jump ring well enough, did I? I'm going to connect the gold one on this first link here. Close it up. Make sure you close them really well. Okay. Then I'm going to connect my rose gold and my silver on this next link right here. And I have little 3mm jump rings, and these are working just fine. But it will depend on the loop in your connector as to whether you will need a bigger jump ring or not. But these are working out. So I'm going to put this, I say that and then it flies off. I'm going to put the silver strand next, and it's going on to this little loop right here. And I am going to do the rose gold strand next, and it will go onto the same loop that the silver strand went on. You can do these in whatever order you want. If you'd rather have your rose gold next to your bronze, or however you want to do it, it's totally up to you. And then on the bottom loop right here, I'm going to connect my gold strand. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side with my other little purple ceramic flower connector, or whatever you're using. If you're using a chandelier, whatever you're using. Now, if you have 4 loops, you can connect to all 4, but I don't. So I put the 2 middle ones together, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So go ahead and do that and come right on back. Okay, so here's what we have. Everything hooked on to our little connectors, and this is turning out pretty. So now we're going to take our next little rows, and I don't need these 2 side connectors on here, these 2 little side loops. So I'm going to take my cutters and just trim them right off. Okay, you can do that. If you have something that you have something and you want to make it into something else, go right ahead. I need this just to be a 2-loop connector. So I'm just trimming them right off. You can file it if you want to, but you don't have to. And then I'm going to connect these onto the top loop of the one right below them. So go ahead and do that and come on back. Okay, so now that we've got our links on and our strands, we're going to bead up the side here of our necklace. And I know on this type of necklace, I wouldn't want it to hang really low on me. I like this kind to hang around my collarbone. So I've measured myself, and I know for that type of necklace, I want it to be about 24 inches total length, so 12 per side. So I've measured this, and these from here down to the middle is about 5 inches. So I need about 7 inches on each side of my beading wire, and I have a 14-inch piece here, so I'm just going to cut it in half. Okay, just cutting it in half right here. And then I'm just going to finish the end of it like we've been doing, and I just dropped that piece. So I'm going to take my little crimp tube. I'm going to crimp it on the end of my wire just like we've been doing the whole time. Okay, and I'm going to put the little clamshell right over top of it after I get it crimped. Same thing that we've been doing, okay? Just close it right up. I like to make sure that my wire is coming out the very bottom there and just close it right up. Okay, so there we have it. Now we're going to bead up this side. So we've got our beautiful moonstone. We have our little spinel beads, and we have our tiger eye. So you can arrange this however you want to. And I have some of these spacers as well that I may use. So I'm going to do a couple spinel beads to start off because they're tiny and can be down here next to this tiny bead. And then I'm just going to vary this. So I'm going to take maybe a piece of the moonstone, one of these pretty little spacers, and a piece of tiger eye. And I'm just going to bead all the way up the side in whatever pattern that I want to use. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So go ahead and just bead it up the side to your satisfaction, however you want to do it, using whatever beads that you want to use. It's totally up to your own creative control. I'm going to put another little spinel bead on here. And then I'm just going to continue beading all the way up this strand. Okay, till I get to about a 1/2 inch from the top. Okay, so go ahead and do that and come right on back. Okay, so I've done my one strand and it's turning out very pretty, and I'm going to do the other strand, and I'm going to make sure that I try to copy this on the other side. So I started with 2 spinel beads. I'm going to start with 2 spinel beads here. Then I'm going to use one of the milky white moonstone. Then I'm going to use a spacer and then a tiger eye bead. And I'm going to go up this entire strand on this side as well, trying to match it up as best I can to this side, okay? And stop at the same place I'm actually about an inch, a little over an inch from the top. So go on and do that and come right back. Okay, so we're down here to the very end of our strands, and we're just going to finish them off the same way that we've been doing with our crimp and our little side closure lobster. Now I am going to add a couple of the little spinel beads on here on the end of this, just because I feel like it makes it look a little more complete to have a smaller bead on the very end. I just like that. It's my own personal preference. You don't have to do it that way. Okay, so we're just going to take this, crimp it right down there, turn it sideways and close it. Okay, I'm going to trim my wire. I am going to put on my little clamshell cover. These never want to cooperate on camera, and they do just fine when I'm not on camera. But then when I get on camera, they really want to make it look difficult for me. There we go. And this other one, so let's do 2 little spinel beads. Okay, our little clamshell. And again, I'm just letting gravity hold this. I'm not pressing down too much. I don't want it to be poker straight. I want it to have some movement. Get this in my crimpers and crimp down. Okay, trim this wire. And we're going to go ahead and put this little clamshell on as well. Okay, so now we have everything together. All we have to do is hook our components together here. So let's take our little jump ring and hook our beaded strands onto our little connectors here. And then we're just going to hook our clasp on the end, and we have a beautiful necklace using gorgeous beads from victorygemsandbeads.com. So let me get this right on here. Same on the other side. And the reason that I cut it about 1.5 inches short was because of my toggle. And I wanted to make sure that I had enough room. You know, you want to average in the length of your toggle when you are planning your necklace, because I like mine, again, to be about 24 inches total, so 12 inches per side. So you want to make sure that your toggle, you know, you figure that in when you're planning your necklace so it doesn't take up too much room and make your necklace too long. So we're just going to go ahead and open this up and insert our toggle right on here. And I did grab out a couple of thicker jump rings for this, only because, you know, this is the connection that's holding everything together, and I don't really want to use those little teeny tiny ones. I feel like this is more secure to have a little thicker jump ring on here. So let's go ahead and get the toggle on and close it up. Make sure you close your jump ring really well, which I'm failing at the moment. There we go. It's probably not best to do this with your crimping pliers. I'm kind of trying to hurry a little bit here. There we go. So the video doesn't go too long. Let me go ahead and attach this other side. And there we have it. We have created a necklace, and it's easy to make beautiful things when you have beautiful beads like this. But I think this one turned out really pretty. Absolutely gorgeous. So let me put it on a form for you, and I will be right back. So here it is again, the finished product, quite beautiful and simple to make. So go check out victorygemsandbeads.com. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do, and ring the bell so you'll be notified when I upload. And remember, there is a 10% off coupon, a bead on a wire 10 will get you 10% off your order at victorygemsandbeads.com. And they have free shipping over $250. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye.